Morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Moshe.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning. It's getting closer to Yisiyim.
Yeah. So you like that
Yeah,
AI thing I made, yeah?
yeah, very nice.
Okay, that's what I'm going to use instead of talking for half an hour at the
But you
beginning.
can probably ask AI to have a better accent.
No, it doesn't. It's a Kurdish accent.
Tell him I'd like you to change the accent to a yeshiva bacher's accent.
No. What do you call it? Waze did that. That drove me nuts. I'll just, explain stuff afterwards. Moshe, you don't know, but you'll find out, all right?
Okay, today we're going to start Gimel Amud Beis on the
That's
bottom.
right.
Taner Rabbanan. Taner Rabbanan. It's three lines on the bottom on Gimel Amud Beis. Thank Hashem that you're able to learn Torah every day. In the course of our learning, we should have the base of English immediately. So it's like this. Taner Rabbanan. Learned in a brisa that shchita skuti muteres. That when a guy shechts, and not a guy, when a kuti shechts, you're allowed to eat from it. Specifically a kuti, because we're going to learn that a kuti is careful about shchita. Okay. Gemara says, the brisa says, when do we say you can eat from the shchita? That's if a Jew is watching him. He's standing and making sure he does it right. But if you come afterwards, you find that he had shechted already and you weren't there. Then you cut a piece of meat from the shechita, from the animal that was shechted, and you feed it to him. It doesn't say if you cook it or not, but who cares? Whatever. Either they ate it cooked, or they cooked it, or you ate it raw, whatever. If he eats it, then obviously it was kosher because he wouldn't eat it if it was treif, because the kuti keeps kosher. But if you won't eat it, then you're not allowed to eat it either. Okay. By a similar halacha, matzah biyadi the kurya shel tziparim. You have a whole basket full of birds that are shechted. Sounds like a bucket of wings. Like how they give the chicken wings, they put it in a bucket. So here it's birds that are shechted. You cut off one of the heads and you give it to him. And achlai, if he eats it, then then you can consider it kosher as well. And if not, then you're not allowed to eat from the shechita. This is like saying, of course it's kosher. The so and so the kuti eats in that restaurant. So that's going to be kosher. That's what we're saying. And they're very makbid. Okay, well, before we had a machlekes between Abaye and Rava, if by a kuti, if you need a mashkiach tmidi or a yotze v'nechnas is enough. Abaye daik miresha v'Rava daik miseifa. Abaye was medayik from this brisa in the first part of the brisa, and therefore he says that you need a mashkiach tmidi. That means a constant mashkiach watching. Rav is medayik from the seifa, and therefore he comes out with the halacha that a yotze v'nechnas is good enough. Abaye daik miresha time of the Yisraelim and al gaba. What's the reason why we said that you can use his shechita? It's because there was a Jew standing there the whole time. Yisraelim and al gaba. Avon, but if it's yotze v'nechnas, but if he wasn't standing there the whole time, then that's not good. Then you have to come on to doing the test. Does he eat it or does he not eat it? But l'chatchila, that he should shecht, that's only if Yisraelim al-Gama, if there's a Jew there the whole time. That's Abaye's opinion. Rava daik misefer. Rava is medayik from the sefer. Time at the bamatzah shachat. Why? What's the reason why he has to eat from it? That's because he shechted already. But if the mashkiach would be going in and out, then shaperdami, then you don't have to do the test. If he knows that there's a mashkiach that's coming in and out, he's spot checking. So then you don't even have to give him the test because you know that he's going to shecht it properly. That's Rava's opinion. So now it comes out of machlekes by a kuti if you need a mashkiach tmidi or a yetziv nichnas. Depends how you want to learn this brisa. Baya says, 1 second, look at the beginning. It says he's Aymed al Gabav. That means he needs to be Aymed al Gabav. Rava says, no, it's only Matzu Shachat where you have a problem. If he shechted it already and there was no one there, so then that's a problem. Otherwise, if someone would be in and out, then that would be kosher. The Gemara asks, Labaya Kasha Seifa. What's the Baya going to do with the Seifa where it says Bo Matzu Shachat? There it says, over there it's implied from that it's only because you weren't even Yaitziv Nichnas. But if you would be Yaitziv Nichnas, it would be fine. Amalach, so Abaye responds to that. He would respond, Yaitziv Nichnas Nami Bo Matzo Karilei. That's exactly the brisa. That Bo Umatzo, he comes and he finds what he did. That's because he was a mashkiach that was spot checking. So mashkiach that's spot checking isn't always there by the shechita. And if mashkiach is spot checking, so then what does he need to do if he comes afterwards and he finds that he did the shechita already? Then he has to feed it to him. And he has to do the test to see if it's kosher. This is the laboratory test. You feed it to the kuti. If he eats it, then you know it's kosher. It's the opposite of the dog story. Remember the dog where the guy, the Rav gave a speech. He said that tray for meat, you give it to the dog. So there was a guy over there that used to always ask shilas to the Rav. He doesn't come for a few months. So the Rav asked him, what's going on? So no, all of a sudden he comes back to the Rav. He asked the Rav a shilah about. So the Rav said, what happened to you? Where were you the last few months? So he said, well, you gave the speech that anything that's not kosher, you give to the dog. So what I did was, any shilah I had, I gave it to the dog. And if the dog ate it, then I knew it wasn't kosher, because the dog gets the non-kosher food. So he said, okay, so that's interesting. So why are you coming back? He says the dog was too machmer. So here we're saying that you give it to the kuti. Give it to the kuti. If he eats it, then it's kosher. So when do you do that? According to Abaya, you do that by Yetziv Nichnas. And Bo Matzo is the case of Yetziv Nichnas. Gemara says, Rabba Kasha Reisha, what is about Rabba? Rabba said, the Reisha of the Brisa says that you had to be standing there. So Amalach, Rabba would respond to you, Yetziv Nichnas Nami Kaimer Al Gabav Dami. That's a Yetziv Nichnas. The spot checking means that you're standing there. That's good enough. When it says standing there, Aymed al Gabav, it means that you're spot checking. Yeah, you don't have to be mamish standing there. When I was a kid, my mother went out to the store and she told me that there's a cake in the oven, I should watch it. So I didn't know, I was probably like five years old. I didn't know what that meant to watch it. So I opened up the oven and I pulled up a chair and I sat and I watched the cake. So that was mamish, Aymed al Gabav. You have to, I didn't know that I was able to be a Yetziv Nichnas. You just make sure it's not burning. You smell it every once in a while. So, okay, there's two opinions over here. We go to the next piece. The Gemara said, the Brisa said, if you find that the kuti has a basket of birds, then you cut off one of the heads and you feed it to him. If he eats it, it's kosher. Why does that work? Leichosh, we should suspect, Dilma, maybe he recognizes that some of them he shechted properly, some of them he didn't shech. You're giving him from the ones that he shechted properly. All the other ones are treif. The Gemara answers that, Amar Benasha, Simen, Machnes, Ismail, V'Zacharim. This is a very interesting siman because Rabbi Nasha apparently has statements in Maseches Chullin, 3 statements. There's going to be one in this parak, one in the second parak, and one in the third parak. And he said the 3 statements that he has. The first one is a siman. The first one is Machnes. Second one is Ismail, and the third one is Bezacharim. Those are the comments that Rabbi Nasha says in Maseches Chullin. So, usually a siman is just for this page. Here, the siman is not just for this page. This is for 3 chapters of 3 statements of Menashe throughout the Masechta. The first, his comment over here is b'mechnisan tachas kinafav, where the person can't see which bird you're giving him because they're all hidden under his jacket. The Jewish person has all the birds hidden. He pulls a random one out. The kuti cannot recognize which one it is because they're all under his jacket. The Gemara says, maybe he can recognize it because when you pulled him out and you gave him the head, he was able to recognize the head because of maybe the thing on the head, what's it called, the crown or whatever it is. He could recognize it. He knows that was the good one, that was the kosher one. Other ones aren't kosher. Maybe. Amra Masharshia, Mamas Mislam Mismuse, because it was all squished up. It was all chopped up. So, of course, he's not going to be able to tell which one it is now. You gave it to him as a chicken salad, and he's eating from it. You can't tell which one it is. So that's why you're allowed to eat from the other ones. Otherwise, it looks like from this, the Gemara's answer, that just because he ate from one, that wouldn't be machshir all the other ones. It's only because he can't tell which one is there. That's why it's allowed. Gemara asks, Dilma kasavri kutim in shchita life minatera. See, the kutim, the halachas that they took on, they're very strict about, and they keep it very, very carefully. But maybe this is not one of the halachas that they took on because it doesn't say clearly in the Torah that you have to shecht birds. It says in the Torah, "V'zavachta mi bekarcha." It says that mi bekarcha mitzayincha. It says that you'll shecht from your cattle and from your flock, which birds doesn't go into that category. So it's possible that the reason why the kuti is eating from this is because he's of the opinion that you don't really need shechita anyway. So that's why he's eating. We hold as a halach l'meishim Sinai that you do have to have shechita on birds, but maybe he doesn't hold of this. So he's eating it because according to him, it's like saying, I saw a Muslim, eating, and it's halal, so it's halal must be kosher for us also, because they also have some sort of thing. Maybe their halachas are different than our halachas, right? So how do you know they hold of this shechita by a bird? And according to you, it says Shia drasa chalada gramavikar mikasvinan. And all of Hilchos Shechita isn't clear in the Torah. It's all halach l'meishim misina. There's 5 halach l'meishim misinas that you can't pause in the middle, you can't press down, you can't put it under the skin, you can't go backwards. There's all these halachas. You can't uproot from the neck, uproot the pipes. You can't do these things. How do you know that they hold of any of the Hilchos Shechita? And you're telling me that the Hilchos Shechita that they accepted and therefore it's good. Ella, we're going to have to say, Kivin da achzikabu achzikabu. Since they've accepted it, they've accepted it, and when they accept it, they accept even all the trimmings, all the secondary laws as well. So Achinami, we're gonna have to say as well over here that since they accepted the laws of shechita, kimin achziko achziko, and so therefore they're going to accept it by birds as well. Where now has a question. V'achzuk v'lo yachzuk b'dlei kasiva tanaihi. 1 second. Turns out that do they really accept things that are not written clearly in the Torah? So if there is something that's not clearly in the Torah, but we see that they keep it, so do we say that that's enough to rely on? Or do we say that the fact is it's not written clearly in the Torah, you can't rely on that? Yeah? If it's in the Torah, it seems like we can rely on it if things that they've accepted. Things that are not in the Torah, but they've accepted anyway, can we rely on that to be acceptable, that we could eat it as well? So here's a question that people have. People that keep Chalav Yisrael, and there's a hechsher that relies on Reb Moshe's heter about chalav stam. Reb Moshe's heter chalav stam is that the government checks and we know that there's no treif and milk in it anyway because of the government inspections. So that should cover all bases. Another opinion says that no, it says that you need to have a Jew watching. It doesn't have to do with ascertaining if there was not a kosher, non-kosher milk or not. It's the fact is you need a Jew that's watching, like it says in Shulchan Aruch. But Ramesh's heter was that no, that if you can ascertain that even other ways without a Jew watching, then that should be acceptable. So if you know that they rely on that heter in other areas, and over here they write that it's Chalav Yisrael, can you really trust them? Because you know that they don't hold of the Chalav Yisrael, they're not so careful in this, and yet they're giving this hechsher. So you would like to rely on a hechsher that they themselves wouldn't eat the Chalav Stam, and they're saying it's Chalav Yisrael. Then okay, good. But if they would eat Chalav Stam and then they're saying that this is Chalav Yisrael, you never know. Maybe they're saying, okay, maybe it's, and even if not, don't worry about it. It's hard to know. So maybe they have like a lower standard because they rely on that heter anyway. Could be. So here, what we're asking is that maybe the kuti is going to have a lower standard for things that are not written clearly in the Torah. Now, yeah, I know he keeps it, but he doesn't really hold of it. He keeps it like a chumrah. So can you rely on that? So it says Tanaihi. That's a machlekes Tanaim. The Tanya was started in a brisa. Matzas kuti. Now it's going to take us till the end till we see this. So Gemara is going to have this is the machlekes, and then we're going to switch. That's the machlekes. So you have to wait to the end to be able to see this machlekes, what we mentioned. It says matzas kuti muteres. The matzah of a kuti you're allowed to eat it on Pesach. It's considered not chametz, and you could eat it. And a person can also fulfill the mitzvah of matzah, which is the first night of Pesach. It says berev teichel matzahs. You have to eat matzah on Pesach. And not only are you allowed to eat it on Pesach, but you also fulfill the mitzvah. Rebbe Lezer says that no, you're not allowed to. It's not considered matzah. It could be chametz, and you're not yetz to the mitzvah. So it's asur. B'shem became b'diktukei mitzvahs ki Yisrael. They're not as careful. They don't know all the details like a yid. They don't know the ins and outs of at what point the discoloration on the dough is going to would mean that it's really chametz. We have these criteria of at what point, of how long you left it, does it turn chametz. There's a different opinion. One says if the dough turned white. Another one is if little cracks, like antennas, start to appear on the top of the dough. Then so they don't know all these details. So you can't rely on it. Shimon Gamliel says, "Kol mitzvah shechzika bakutim, harbe medaktin yisim Yisrael." No, if the kutim accepted it, they keep it, and they're more careful even than a regular person, than a yid. Amar Mar. So let's examine this machlekes. It seems like a three-way machlekes, although we don't know the difference between Reb Shimon ben Gamliel and Tanna Kama. They seem to be saying the same thing. But let's take a look. The master taught. Amar Mar means that we're re-examining a brisa. Matzas kuti muteres v'adam yitzvei dechavasav b'Pesach. Matzah v'kuti is muter. And a person can fulfill his obligation on Pesach. What's this pshita? Of course, if it's matzah, if it's not chametz, then it's matzah. Of course, you can use it on Pesach. You can be yetz to the mitzvah. What else? If it's chametz, then you're not yetz to the mitzvah of matzah. But then you're not allowed to eat it. And if you are allowed to eat it, then obviously it's matzah. It's flour and water. So then you should be allowed to use it for the mitzvah. Says b'shimar. Say maybe that they don't know the halacha of shimar. Shimar means you have to guard it lishma. You have to guard it for the mitzvah. Maybe they don't know that you have to do that. No. Baked, right? Doesn't have to be baked. But here there is matzah shel mitzvah that needs to be the matzah that you use for the seder is different. That's called shmura matzah. That's the difference between matzah and shmura matzah. Shmura matzah means that it was watched l'shma, right? So there needs to be done l'shem mitzvah. So maybe they don't know about that halacha. Kamash Balan, that no, they know about that halacha as well, and they did it properly. Yeah. Okay. So Rashi quotes the Gemara somewhere else where it says that a non-Jew that baked matzah is allowed. Only thing is, you have to have a Jewish matzah at the end for the last for the kazayas to be to the mitzvah of the Jewishly baked Jewish baked. See how hard Dr. Stein is trying to get Hillel to laugh. The gingerbread man. Here, Rabbi Lezer Reiser, lefi she'ein bekiyin b'diktukei mitzvahs. Lezer says no. You can't trust them. They don't know all the details. Kosavar, what does it mean? Like b'ki b'shimar. Over here, shimar means there's one girsa that takes us out. Rashi says like garsinan. You don't have this. What it means is that they don't know the halachas of chametz. They don't know when it's considered chametz. Okay. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel Aimer, I'm sorry. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel Aimer, kol mitzvah shechzik v'kutim harbe medaktim v'yesim Yisrael. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says that any mitzvah that the kutim accepted, they're more careful than a yid. The Gemara says, Hainu Tanakama. Tanakama says you're allowed to use a matzah v'kuti. And Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says you're allowed to use a matzah v'kuti. So what's the difference between them? Talking about where it's written in the Torah, but we don't know for sure that they keep it. Tanakama Savrikim the Ksiva, the Tanakama holds, well, it's written in the Torah, even though we don't know that they keep it, you assume that they do keep it, because they keep the text of the Torah. And it sounds like the Karaites, right? It's like if it's written in the Torah, then you keep it. It's an oral tradition, they don't keep it. That's what it seems like from this at this point. It's written in the Torah, then they keep it. Shimon Gamliel says no. Shimon Gamliel is very clear. We have to know that they've accepted it, even if it's written in the Torah, but we still don't know that they've accepted it. So far, we haven't come to the machlekes that we said before, that we have a machlekes, something that's not written in the Torah, but they've accepted it. Do they really keep it? Here we're right at this point. The machlekes is something that's written in the Torah, but we don't know if they accept it. The Gemara says, "Yihachi, kol mitzvah shechzika bakutim." Why are you using the expression kol mitzvah? Every mitzvah. Every mitzvah sounds like even things that aren't in the Torah. If you're talking about only things that are in the Torah, then you say imechzikumi ba'ilay. If Reb Shimon ben Gamliel is limiting what the Tanakama hold, the Tanakama hold everything that's in the Torah. The kuti keeps. If it's written clearly in the written law, they keep it. Comes on Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. He says, not everything that's in the written law, only if you know if it's in the written law. Even if it's in the written law, only if you know if they've accepted it, do we say that they've accepted it. So he's limiting even the mitzvahs that are written in the written law that the kutim don't accept it. So if that's the case, then why do you say kol mitzvah? Kol mitzvah sounds to be more inclusive than the Tanakama, not to be more exclusive. They're really more exclusive, and he uses an expression of kol. So, we're going to flip it around. We're going to say like this. Machlekes is, and this is what we were looking for the whole time, delay ksiva v'achzikuba, something that wasn't written in the Torah, but they've accepted it. Tanakama savar, kivan like ksiva, afagav da'asikuba namilai. Tanakama are limiting. They say if it's not in the Torah, and they've accepted it, you can't trust them. Because how have they accepted it? They've accepted it like a chumrah. That's not enough for us. Maybe they're relying on lenient opinions, and they say, "Look, it was just a chumrah anyway. Who cares? You don't have to worry about it." However, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel savar, given the achzak, Shimon ben Gamliel, when he says kol mitzvah da'achziku, he's more inclusive than the Tanakama, And he says that if they've accepted it, you can rely on them.
The way you just explained it sounded almost like they're accepting certain takanas, but maybe it really means that they've gone they're over the isur of don't add mitzvahs to the Torah. In other words, they're holding things that aren't even written, because if they were holding a takana, big deal, so that's fine, even though it wasn't the general thing. But the thing is, they're holding things that aren't even in there, so they're kind of making up parts that they like to the Torah. They're over that Lotas.
Right.
Right. Maybe right. Yes, right. Shut up. I was right.
We're looking at them that they're like sometimes with certain people that they're very good at certain jobs, like they do it like extra, they do it very carefully. We're looking at them that these are these type of people that if they've accepted it, then they're going to do it. They're going to do it well. We don't know what they've accepted, but we know if they've accepted it, they're going to take it going to do it well. Yeah.
Nothing more to be added.
Yeah. Lahavdil, this is not, but the conservative movement is very accurate with their manuscripts, their publications, not what people their essays and stuff. I'm talking about when they printed the Tosefta, they printed the Midrashim. They go back to manuscripts and they do like very accurate.
It's from the JTS.
JTS. They have like their publications from the original manuscripts are very accurate. So everyone's got their thing that they, you don't look in their Shulchan Aruch, but their Tosefta, their Medrash Tanchuma is probably better than the one that we had in Europe or something that was a copy of a copy of a copy. Okay.
It's like this, or with the Ganav, the treif, the milchik knife. Ganav, but I don't want to use milchik knife to steal the Ganav. That's what sounds.
It's my grandmother's joke with the Indian that was getting
I'm saying Shiva.
No, was getting killing a buffalo for a wedding, and they came back and he said that they didn't have enough meat. So I didn't kill it. This one didn't have enough. I wanted the skin for a teepee. So I didn't kill that one. Anyway, he comes back. He said, without any. He said, I found the perfect one, but then when I looked, they had the milchik atameok. Okay. So here we're holding by Gufa. When we started learning the Daf Yomi 7-8 years ago, so we made a suggestion that whenever it says Amar Mar, it's referring to a brisa or a mishnah. Whenever it says Gufa, it's referring to a statement of Amirayim.
A requote, you said.
It's a requote, but a requote of who?
Of Amora.
It's a Gufa. Gufa, we said, is Amirayim. It turns out that 99% of the time we've been accurate. There have been exceptions, but Gufa, we learned before, so Amar Rava says, Yisrael mu maraychal nevelis l'tiyavan, baidik sakin v'naisin lai, mutlechal mishchitase. A yid that eats treif when he's traveling, or when he doesn't have anything else. But if you give him a shchita knife to shech, he's going to keep kosher. He's never going to say, I'd rather have the treifa one over the kosher one. It's just when he doesn't have available, he's going to, my timer. What's the reason why you're allowed to trust him? It says, he would never leave the heter and just go ahead, just in spite and eat isser. It's not like a lowlife like that. He has both of them. There were times when he needed to eat. He ate not kosher.
Not a mumu lahachis.
Not lahachis. He's not lahachis. Yihachi. That's the case. Kilei badak nami. So why do you have to check the knife and give it to him? He would prepare a knife. It says mitzrach leitarach. Lav dafki, he would go out of his way to work on the knife. When I don't know if you, Moshe Chaim, if you did learn Shechita, but it could take 5-10 hours to fix a knife that has a nick on it. It could take a long time. That's what they do actually when they test you for Shechita. The Rav bangs your knife on the thing, it says fix it and come back when it's ready. You have to go for. You have to see if that's one of the things.
Had to grow his nail long in order to.
Yeah, he has to grow his nail long, but you have to do it carefully, back and forth at the same angle. This side and that side, back and forth until it's fixed. It's a big job. So mitrach leitar, he's not going to bother himself. If there's a nick in it, he won't bother himself. Amalei Rabbanan l'Rav. By the way, the book. Samarkand. You ever see that book? There's a Chabad book, Samarkand. It's about this chassid when he was younger in Samarkand. He was a sheikhet.
In where?
Samarkand is in like Bukharia. Anyway, one of the places that he went, he would go. He wanted to eat. So there were old sheikhtim there. So one of the sheikhtim, one time he was an old sheikhet, but he had a nick in his knife. So he took something like a rubber band or something, and he put it over the nick. So he would only use the part of the knife that he knew was kosher up until there. And he said that's a tremendous heter. He couldn't believe that a Rav would do that, a sheikhet would do that. He says he wouldn't eat from it. If he would rely on such a heter, he wouldn't eat from that shechita. Just to mark off the knife. So the Rav said that I'm too old to fix it. He said I'm too old to fix it, so I just put a rubber band over the sheikhet or whatever.
Was it kosher?
I guess he said it's b'diavad. It was b'shas adchak, but he wouldn't touch that. He was a chassid, Sidamar machmer like crazy. So.
But don't we ask the question here in this Gemara? If the person won't eat their own, that's why we give the kuti to eat the stuff.
I know. Oh no! So that sheikhet was eating it. That sheikhet was eating it. This was a young boy in Samarkand that he knew Hilchos Shechita. He couldn't believe that this old man, because he had to travel around for the Frierdiker Rebbe or something. And
so he didn't.
So he wouldn't eat one. It's a quality book, the Samarkand. It's an excellent book.
Finished the Sadia book. And
this is a big
Redhead of Auschwitz. I don't name more books.
And once you finish Shas, you're going to have a lot of time.
No, I got to start all over again.
Okay. Amalei Rabbanan l'Rav.
Unless he smiles.
Amalei Rabbanan l'Rav. The Rabbanan say to Rav. Remember, Rav is saying that a mumar, you can still trust him because he's not lachas, it's l'tiyavan. So Tanya the Messiah, the Rabbanan say, I have a support for you. It says Chemchen shaleivdich oivri avera achar Pesach. Oivri avera, people that don't sell their chametz, they don't destroy their chametz. They don't destroy the chametz by Pesach because they don't want to lose the money. However, after Pesach, you're allowed to trust them. Why? Mutter miyad. You can go into the house and you can eat. Why? They say machlifin. Because they probably went to their neighbor that also has beer, and they said, "Look, I got beer, you got beer. Let me just switch mine for yours." And because the reason for that is Savrua, the explanation is Hamani. Who's the opinion here? Rabbi Yehudi. Damar chametz achar Pesach deiraisa. Chametz achar Pesach is aser. He doesn't want to eat straight. He didn't want to throw it out, but so he kept it. But after Pesach, what's he going to do? He's going to machlifin. We see even by Nissa Daraisa, you could rely on the fact that he probably switched it. The Gemara says, "Mimai, how do you know that you can rely on him for Nissa Daraisa?" Dilma Reb Shimoni, Damar Chametz achar Pesach derabana. Maybe this brisa holds that really Chametz achar Pesach is really only rabbinically prohibited. It was only prohibited on Pesach. Once Pesach passes by, then it becomes only a rabbinic law. And for a rabbinic law, we can rely that maybe he did that. But however, b'daraisa, by a daraisa, for example, you want to take it over to shechita, that you're going to say that he actually shechts properly and all of that. Maybe we won't rely on that he's going to try to do it properly. The Gemara answers very, very geschmack. The Gemara says, "Davinami Reb Shimon." Let's say it's Taka Reb Shimon. And chametz after achar Pesach is only a derabanan. Miktani shani yomer achlifu. Do we say because I say that he switched it? Because it's probably because he actually switched it. He definitely switches it. Now, 1 second. If by a rabbinic law, this mummer is so strict about the rabbinic law that after Pesach, even though midaraisi is allowed to drink his beer, because even though he owned it over Pesach, but achar Pesach, it's only aser midarabanan. And nevertheless, he's going to go to a guy and switch it because he doesn't want to be over on Issa Derabanan. So Kal V'chaimer by Issa Deraisa is for sure not going to want to be over on that. Yeah? What we thought was exactly the opposite, where it flips it around and says, you see, he won't even be over on Issa Derabanan. So for sure. It's beautiful. Okay. Now, Taisvus asks, not Taisvus, Rashi asks that, 1 second. According to Rabbi Yehuda, chametz achar Pesach is aser ba'ana. Why is he allowed to switch it with a guy? So says, you know what? He doesn't hold of that halacha. He'll switch it with the guy. He'll switch it with the guy. He doesn't keep that halacha because he's careful. He's more concerned about his money. He doesn't want to lose his money. He's a mumar. He doesn't have the strength to overcome that type of prohibition, but he still doesn't want to eat chametz. So amazing. Okay. Obviously, what happens here is that even though chametz achar Pesach is aser ba'ana, that means you have to destroy it. You're not allowed to switch it with the guy. But when you do switch it with the guy, what you switched it with doesn't get the isser, doesn't become prohibited. He wasn't allowed to give it to the guy. He has to really spill it down the toilet or something like that. But he does switch it with the guy. He says, I have beer, you have beer, let me switch my beer for your beer, or my bread for your bread, whatever. He switches it. And so even though that transaction was not allowed, but once it's done, it's acceptable. Lema Messiah it's acceptable to you. Bring us support for this.
Can you do Chalipin with a grain?
It is Chalipin.
I know, that's what I'm saying, because if you couldn't do if it wasn't permitted, then there was no Esau involved.
He's not allowed to, actually, because if chametz is aser b'hana, then you're not allowed to use that. But nevertheless, it doesn't. The transaction, what's transferred, doesn't become prohibited. It's not like avodah zarah. If you have a avodah zarah that you transfer with someone else, you say, I'm not allowed to have this idol, so I give it to you. You give me something else instead. Give me a piano. I'll give you the idol. You give me the piano. So that piano becomes aser. Yeah, because it takes on the prohibition. By chametz, it doesn't do it.
Ex post facto. It's after.
I understand. After the fact, but by avodah zarah it doesn't work like that. After the fact, just like shemitah, it transfers over the halachas of shemitah transfer to the new thing. Okay, so and everyone says everyone is allowed to shecht. Filu kuti, even a kuti, vafilu arol, and even someone that wasn't circumcised. Afilu Yisrael mumar, and even a Yisrael mumar. Wow. All these people can shecht. Okay, you can imagine what's going on in the shlachtais. The Gemara says, "Hi aral hechidami." Which aral? What's the case of an aral, uncircumcised person? If he has hemophilia, and I don't know if I would want to give him a knife to play with, but even if he has hemophilia, and
good morning.
Yeah, good morning. And the reason why he doesn't have a bris is because his two brothers passed away. And so therefore the halacha is if the two brothers pass away, then you don't give him a bris, right? Until he gets stronger, you don't give him a bris. So if you want to say that maybe he didn't have a bris yet because the halacha is that he's not supposed to have a bris, and so he's allowed to shecht, what's the chiddush? HaYisrael Mali is a regular yid, he's a from a yid. The halacha tells us he's not supposed to have a bris. El pshita mumar l'arel. So it must be Not that he didn't have a bris because he has hemophilia. He doesn't have a bris because he doesn't want to have a bris, and he's a mumar la arelis. Kasavar mumar ledavar echad le'av mumar chal terakula. We say just because he doesn't have a bris, that doesn't mean that he doesn't shecht properly. I mean, he doesn't keep kosher. He does want avera. Okay, so his kashrus is still good. Ema seifa. Let's go further. Afilu Yisrael mumar. Afilu Yisrael mumar. You can even use Yisrael mumar. Okay, now 1 second. Hi mumar hechidami. What type of mumar are you talking about that you can eat his shchita? You can eat in his house. If he's a mumar ledavar acher, so then that means there's one avera that he doesn't, that one mitzvah that he doesn't keep. So then hainu mumar la'arelas. So okay, we just said that case. He's the aral we said was a mumar that he doesn't like to get a bris. Maybe he's afraid of surgery. Elalav mumar davar. No, it must be that you can't trust him for kashrus. He doesn't keep kosher. But we have to have a chiddush here. Ukida Rava, and it's a raya to Rava. That Rava says a mumar for kashrus, a mumar, someone that eats nevela, but that's only because it's leteyavain, because he doesn't have other food. But if he has kosher available, you give him a shchita knife and he shechs, you can trust him that it's going to be kosher, because he would leishavik hetera v'achal isura. He won't just ignore the heter to eat this. He wants it to be kosher. If there's none available. The Gemara says, "Loi." It's not a strong proof to Rava because we can learn this brisa differently. We can learn it like this. We can say, really, if he doesn't keep kosher, you can't trust him. My timer, given the dashba, since he does this all the time, so he doesn't even consider it a prohibition. Yeah, this is a problem. This is a problem. He looks at it like Ella. Rather, we have to say it's mumel avedis kechavim. We're talking about he's a mumel avedis kechavim for avedis zara, which is much worse, and nevertheless it's kosher. The Ravanan, Amar Shmuel. Ravanan says, name of Shmuel, Yisrael mumel avedis kechavim, even if he worships idols, but mutalechol mishchitasei, you're allowed to eat his shchita. Okay, let's leave it right here by Gufa. Yeah.
This reminds me of the machlokes with Chanya, Shimon HaTzadik said that when he went to make that Beis Hamikdash, and I thought, was he making it there for Banish L'Shem Shemayim or the Zara? I don't remember the answer.
There's a big shaila, Bali Tshuva, if they can go to their parents' house when the parents have a different set of pots for them. Can they trust their parents that don't keep kashrus, that they never use those pots, that they never wash it, that they never do this, that that they keep it kosher?
What's the answer?
Answer is yes. If they, Moshe says that if you trust them for that, there's a natural trust also that you can rely on, that they won't do that. Okay.